Young, and the Restless spoilers full episodes Tuesday, March 3, 2026. Indonesia's stillness settling over Genoa City. The first crack did not come from a boardroom battle or a whispered corporate betrayal, but from absence. Absence, in a town that survives on confrontation and spectacle, is far more terrifying than scandal. And this time, that absence has a name: Nick Newman. By the week of March 2nd, something feels wrong in a way that cannot be dismissed as coincidence or overreaction. Nick is not answering his phone. He is not responding to messages. He is not where he is supposed to be. For a man who has spent his life walking the razor's edge between loyalty and rebellion, between protecting his family and defying it, silence becomes a warning sign no one can ignore. It begins quietly, almost mundanely, when Noah Newman approaches his mother, trying to mask concern with rationality, but failing. He admits he has not been able to reach his father all day. The words are simple, but they carry weight. There is something in Noah's expression that suggests this is not just about a missed call. It is about instinct. It is about a pattern that does not fit. And when Sharon Newman quietly reveals that she, too, has not heard from Nick, the air shifts. To people who know him best, who have loved him in different ways, at different times, are both cut off from him at once. That is not normal. That is not accidental. The immediate explanation, the one everyone reaches for because it is easier than fear, is that Nick is chasing a lead. For weeks, tension has been building around Matt Clark, a name that carries danger wrapped in unfinished business. Nick has never been a man who can ignore a threat. If he believes Matt is circling his family, then he would pursue him without hesitation, without backup, without even considering the cost. That has always been both his strength and his flaw. He acts first. He protects first. He thinks about consequences later. It is entirely plausible that he has tracked down a clue and followed it off the grid, convinced he can handle whatever waits at the other end. But plausibility does not erase unease. If he were on a trail, would he not at least send one message, one coded reassurance, one sign that he is in control? The silence grows heavier the longer it stretches. There is another possibility, one no one wants to voice too loudly, but which lingers like a shadow behind every conversation. Nick's history with addiction has never fully disappeared. It has merely gone quiet. The battle has been long, painful, and humiliating at times. Recovery is not a straight line, and the pressure surrounding Matt Clark, combined with the constant strain of living under the Newman legacy, could have reopened old wounds. If Nick is struggling, if he is trying to secure pills instead of confronting enemies, then his disappearance is not a calculated mission but a spiral. That possibility terrifies Sharon in a way she refuses to show. She knows the signs. She remembers the nights of denial, the defensive anger, the isolation disguised as independence. She understands how quickly control can slip through someone's fingers, yet she also knows Nick's pride. If he has fallen, he will not want to be found in that state. He will vanish before admitting weakness. That duality, heroic pursuit or private collapse, becomes the emotional battlefield for those left waiting. Noah, despite his youth, feels the tension instinctively. He has grown up watching the Newman family navigate chaos as if it were routine. Disappearances, betrayals, hostile takeovers, these are part of the fabric of his life. But this feels different. This feels personal. The idea that his father could be in danger, or worse, losing himself again, shakes the foundation of everything Noah thought was stable. He tries to remain rational, to reassure Sharon that Nick is capable and resourceful, but beneath that effort is fear, raw and unfiltered, the fear of not knowing. The fear that the next phone call will not bring relief but confirmation of disaster. While uncertainty tightens around Nick's absence, another confrontation unfolds elsewhere in Genoa City, one equally charged but far more deliberate. Phyllis Summers has never been a woman who waits passively for her fate to unfold. She confronts it, challenges it, and if necessary, manipulates it. And now she stands once again across from Kane Ashby, tension crackling between them like static before a storm. Phyllis is exhausted in ways she refuses to acknowledge publicly. She has lost something far more devastating than corporate influence or social standing. She has lost her children's trust. That loss gnaws at her more relentlessly than any enemy ever could. Yet she refuses to appear broken, so when she demands to know what Kane intends to offer her, Her voice carries defiance, not desperation. Kane, however, does not match her intensity with aggression. He remains calm, almost unsettlingly so. He claims he possesses something she wants, something so significant she will not be able to refuse. That statement is not a bluff, it is a calculated move. Kane understands leverage. He understands that Phyllis's vulnerability lies not in her ambition, but in her maternal guilt. For all her schemes and survival tactics, she is unraveling inside. Being cut off from her children has stripped away the armor she usually wears. If Kane truly has a path toward reconciliation, some way to soften the anger her children feel, some mechanism to secure forgiveness, then he is holding the one currency that matters. The question is not whether Phyllis wants redemption. She does. The question is what she is willing to sacrifice for it. Kane's composure suggests that his proposal will not come cheaply. Perhaps he believes he can orchestrate circumstances that shift blame away from her. Perhaps he has evidence, alliances, or secrets that could reframe her recent actions in a more sympathetic light. Or perhaps he simply knows how to exploit her longing, offering hope just enough to secure her cooperation in something far larger. Phyllis prides herself on never being cornered, yet emotionally she already is. Her children's absence has created a void no business victory can fill. If Kane is offering a bridge back to them, she will be tempted to cross it, even if she senses danger beneath the surface. The parallel between Nick and Phyllis is striking. Though they stand in different storms, Nick may be chasing a threat or fleeing his own weakness. Phyllis is staring directly at hers. Both are defined by love for their children. Both are haunted by the possibility of failure. In Genoa City, strength is often performative. People project invincibility while privately fracturing. Nick's silence and Phyllis's confrontation reveal the same truth. Power does not protect against fear. As days pass without word from Nick, speculation spreads quietly. Sharon wrestles with whether to alert the authorities or to trust that he will resurface on his own terms. Involving others could escalate matters if he is indeed tracking Matt Clark. Yet doing nothing feels irresponsible. The longer the silence stretches, the more every memory of past crises resurfaces. Accidents, kidnappings, betrayals. In this world, danger is never theoretical. If Matt has anticipated Nick's pursuit, if he has set a trap instead of falling into one, then Nick's confidence may have become his undoing. The possibility that Matt turned the tables lured Nick somewhere isolated, neutralized his advantage. Erased his trail begins to take root as a chilling alternative to addiction or voluntary disappearance. Meanwhile, Phyllis's confrontation with Kane evolves into a psychological chess match. She refuses to beg, but she listens. That alone signals how deeply she is affected. Kane's suggestion that he can help her secure forgiveness from her children touches the one place she cannot defend. She may posture, she may argue, but the thought of hearing her children speak to her without resentment is almost unbearable in its allure. Yet trust has never come easily between these two. If Kane is offering assistance, it is because he gains something in return. The tension lies not only in whether she will accept, but in what accepting will cost her later. The city holds its breath in subtle ways. Business meetings continue, family dinners proceed, but beneath routine is anticipation. Will Nick reappear with proof that he has dismantled Matt's threat? Will he emerge shaken, exposed, forced to confront a relapse? Or will someone else uncover evidence that he did not vanish voluntarily at all? And as for Phyllis, will she gamble her pride on Kane's mysterious promise, risking another betrayal in pursuit of maternal redemption? By the end of the week, nothing is resolved, yet everything feels on the brink. Nick's absence is no longer a minor concern, it is a ticking clock. Sharon's composure begins to crack under the weight of uncertainty, and Noah's patience wears thin. Somewhere out there, Nick is either fighting, hiding, or losing himself, and each possibility carries consequences that will ripple through every relationship he has built. At the same time, Phyllis stands at a crossroads where desperation may override caution. If she chooses to trust Kane, she may regain her children, or she may hand him the power to destroy what little remains of her stability. In Genoa City, disappearance is rarely just disappearance, and promises are rarely just promises. As shadows lengthen over the Newman legacy and Phyllis's fragile hope, one question lingers with unsettling clarity. When Nick finally resurfaces, if he resurfaces, will he be the same man who left? Or will the cost of these hidden battles change him in ways no one is prepared to face? If Phyllis were to return the Empire, if she were to step back from the power, the control, the identity she has wrapped around herself like armor, there is little doubt that her children would feel something close to relief. Not joy, not reconciliation, not immediate healing, but relief. Relief that the battlefield would finally quiet. Relief that the endless cycle of defensiveness and retaliation might stop long enough for breathing space. For them, the Empire has become symbolic of everything that stands between love and safety. It represents the version of their mother who chooses dominance over vulnerability, pride over accountability, control over connection. Surrendering it would not erase the past, but it would signal something they have been waiting to see, that she values them more than the illusion of invincibility. Yet for Phyllis herself, that surrender would not be liberation, it would be amputation. Power has been her coping mechanism, her shield against rejection, her proof that she cannot be dismissed or replaced. If she gives it back, if she lays down that weapon, she may indeed regain access to her children's hearts, but she will be forced to confront the silence inside herself without distraction. And that silence is far more terrifying than any corporate defeat. There is a kind of emptiness that does not come from loss but from habit. Some people, no matter how clearly the consequences are laid out before them, continue choosing self-destruct because it is familiar. Phyllis has spent years oscillating between regret and defiance. She understands the damage she causes. She understands how her intensity burns bridges even as she insists she is fighting for love. But understanding and change are not the same. Sometimes a person knows the truth and still rejects it because accepting it would require dismantling the identity they have built around their pain. If she returns the Empire, she may temporarily soothe the external conflict, but the internal void will remain. That void is not about business, it is about worth. About whether she can exist without being the most strategic, the most feared, the most indispensable presence in the room. Without that, who is she? And if she cannot answer that question, then she may eventually find another battlefield to recreate the chaos she subconsciously depends on. So perhaps the real question is not whether she gives back the Empire, but whether she chooses introspection over instinct. Whether she becomes wiser, or whether she continues clinging to a lifestyle built on bitterness disguised as strength. Genoa City has seen many reinventions, but true transformation is rare. While Phyllis stands at the edge of self-reckoning, another crisis detonates with far more visible violence. The spoilers for the week of March 2nd confirm what had once seemed unthinkable. Jack Abbott appears to have been kidnapped, and the name connected to this escalation sends shockwaves through every corridor of power in Genoa City. Victor Newman, the rivalry between these two titans has defined decades of corporate and personal warfare. They have attacked each other's companies, reputations, alliances, and families. But kidnapping crosses into a different realm. It shifts the battle from strategic hostility into existential threat. The one who delivers the devastating news is Carl Abbott. His words carry not only fear but disbelief, as though saying it aloud makes it more real than he is prepared to accept. Jack is not just a CEO, he is a father, a pillar, the moral counterweight to Victor's ruthlessness. The idea that he could simply vanish seized like a pawn in a larger scheme forces everyone to confront how far this war has escalated. Before the room can fully absorb that shock, Billy Abbott cuts through the tension with confirmation that turns suspicion into certainty. Victor has made his position clear: if Billy does not return Chancellor by the end of the day, Jack will never be seen again. This is not a bluff delivered in passing. It is an ultimatum. And Victor does not issue empty ultimatums. He understands leverage better than anyone. He knows exactly which pressure points to apply and when. By targeting Jack, he is not merely attacking an opponent. He is destabilizing an entire family structure. He is forcing Billy into a corner where pride, ambition, and loyalty collide. Does Billy protect Chancellor, the symbol of independence and strategy, or does he surrender it to save his brother? The cruelty of the move lies in its precision. Victor is not simply demanding an asset. He is demanding a choice that will fracture the Abbott legacy no matter which path is taken. Even within the Newman household, the move sends tremors. Nikki Newman, who has stood beside Victor through wars both corporate and personal, finds herself unsettled. She has witnessed his relentlessness, has defended it, has rationalized it as necessary in a world where weakness invites annihilation, but there are lines even she struggles to cross. If this threat is genuine, if Jack's safety is truly at risk, then Victor has stepped into territory that cannot easily be walked back. Nikki's uncertainty is telling. She knows her husband's capacity for strategic cruelty. What she does not know is whether he is still calibrating the damage or whether vengeance has eclipsed restraint. The implications ripple outward. If Victor is willing to kidnap Jack to secure Chancellor, then no one is untouchable. The balance of power in Genoa City shifts from calculated rivalry to open intimidation. Billy's reaction becomes pivotal. His history of impulsiveness, of emotional decision-making under pressure, makes him vulnerable to precisely this kind of manipulation. Victor is betting that Billy will crack. That fear for his brother will override strategy. That desperation will cloud judgment. Yet Billy is not a child in this game. He understands that capitulating may save Jack temporarily but embolden Victor permanently. The decision he makes will define not only his future, but the Abbott name itself. Meanwhile, the psychological contrast between these storylines is striking. Phyllis wrestles with internal emptiness masked by ambition. Jack faces external captivity as a consequence of ambition's darker twin revenge. Both arcs orbit the same central theme: power. Who controls it? Who sacrifices it? Who weaponizes it? In one scenario, surrender may heal wounds. In the other, refusal to surrender may cost a life. Genoa City thrives on this tension, where personal weakness and corporate dominance intertwine so tightly that one cannot be separated from the other. As the deadline looms and certainty becomes suffocating, is Jack being held somewhere isolated, aware that his life has become collateral in a transaction he never authorized? Does Victor truly intend to follow through, or is this a calculated performance designed to terrify rather than execute? Nikki's doubt suggests that even within his inner circle, his next move is unpredictable. And unpredictability, when attached to someone with Victor's resources and resolve, is more dangerous than any confirmed threat. The week of March 2nd does not simply raise stakes, it redefines them. Nick's disappearance lingers unresolved, a separate storm cloud that may yet collide with this escalating war. Phyllis teeters between redemption and repetition, and now Jack's fate hangs on a corporate exchange that reduces family to bargaining chip. If Billy surrenders Chancellor, the Abbotts lose strategic ground. If he refuses, he risks losing his brother. And if Victor has indeed crossed into abduction as a tactic, then the era of subtle rivalry may be over entirely. In a town where survival depends on anticipating the next move, no one seems certain what that move will be. Will Phyllis choose humility over pride? Will Billy choose blood over business? And most chilling of all, how far is Victor Newman truly willing to go before even those who love him can no longer stand beside him?